True to tradition, I also want to share some of the thoughts, some of the things we picked up under the year with Sime, interviewing hundreds of people, being to a lot of other conferences, and all the things that happens here in Epicenter. There's more than 400 events going on here in Epicenter. So here we have Sime every day, and that's why Sime also were part of creating Epicenter. One strong and sad theme is continued polarization, not only between political parties, but beyond geographies. Some speak about armed fortresses of technology. You have one in Europe, you have one in the US, you have China, you have others building their own technology. But it's also around views, around technology choices, and around of other things. There's something called Goodwin's law, and it's how many things you can debate with a stranger on the internet before somebody calls the other one a Nazi. And the Goodwin's law is shrinking, and that's a measure of polarization. This is a sad statistic. It's how you trust media, traditional quality media. 41% of respondents in the US say they're less likely to believe a story with anonymous sources. 36% says it makes no difference. So in a world where truth is, 36% don't really care that much. And identity wars and norm confusion continues. We're going to see a lot of continued polarization. I don't have to comment on this. A new thing that I see coming at us from all directions is ageism. Ageism is the new sexism. It's still okay to say, well, there are a bunch of old guys on the board, or, she's 20 years, what does she know about? It's still okay to say that. 5 years from now, ladies and gentlemen, you would not dare say that. You would treat people not because of their age, but because of their contribution. And it's so good, because all of us can get involved in ageism. All of us are too young or too old to do certain things. And look at that lady. She's curious. She wants to do things. Let her do that. And in this world, I think that trust becomes the new gold. And we're going to have a whole session about that tomorrow. Not truth, trust. Authenticity becomes more important than truth. Donald Trump is extremely authentic. He's not necessarily truthful. And brands, leaders, and others that can be trusted, they will have a completely new mandate in the world I see ahead of us. Because I see brands becoming the new leaders. When we don't trust politicians or institutions or media or schools, we're going to look at brands that take the lead, make a difference, and contribute. We had Ben and Jerry's management team here last year. And what they're doing, I think that is something that's a front runner of what many brands will do. Because in my world, I don't see me buying shares in a company who I don't trust and who I don't think are doing the right things. I wouldn't want to work for that company. I wouldn't want to have them as members at Epicenter. So being good and doing good business will be more and more closely interlinked. And on that note, almost every industry we talk about, they speak about sustainability. And they do it first. Before it was coming last, if we had time in the meeting. Now it's completely changed. And I think the triple byline of people, planet, and profit is going to define the future leaders. And all this creates a lot of new business models. Some of them are funny, some of them are extremely powerful. And internet has that paradox. What, a bird being thrown on a pig? 1.6 billion users. So the playfulness and the powerful. And how do you get that to work then? Well, I think you have to have these three components. You need to have the right mindset, the right technology, but it also needs to have a right business model. So if you only have the right mindset, then you're inspired, and then you get frustrated, and nothing changes. If you only have the right technology, then you're a geek, and you're sitting in the server room, and it's like, oh, it works. Has very little impact. And you're at the mercy of people shutting down your project. And if you only have a business model, then you're a strategy consultant. So if you combine these things, a lot of cool things can happen. And they come from the weirdest ways. This is the Bluetooth click-to-pray cross. Phenomenal gadget. You click, you get connected immediately to what, I don't know, and it guides you through prayers. And there's about 1.5 billion people that potentially would like to buy this. So mindset, even divine mindset, technology, and business model. But there are also other things. I don't know if you read Aktar. It's one of Sweden's largest medias nowadays. How many know what Aktar is? Raise a hand. Don't lie to be cool. Raise a hand if you know what it is. Because I'm going to have you up here on stage and tell you, nobody knows. The founder is smiling there. Salam. And they're Sweden's largest newspaper. Think of it as Aftonbladet plus a Facebook for Arab speakers. Right? They're going to be here on stage as well. And they're capturing the opportunity. What's your Ramadan strategy? What? You don't have a Ramadan strategy? And this sustainable thinking also creates new business model. This is a German super fast growing startup. They raised 1 billion SEK in funding, where you rent all the playthings that you need. You don't have to buy it for your kids anymore. You pay 12 euros a month and you have everything you want, and you change it all the time. So things won't be the same. And I always ask people, who plays bandy? Raise a hand. Not have played it, plays it now? Hand came down, right? Nobody ever plays bandy. And I ask 20,000 people per year, do you play bandy? No. But it's on television every day. 3, 4, 5 minutes. Baltic will plan. Yeah, oh, who won? It's the World Championships. Same 4 teams are playing with each other. And I did a back of the envelope calculation that if I would drive out with an Uber and tell everybody who won, TV would save a lot of money. This is Counter-Strike in the global arena. 16,000 players, hundreds of millions of people around the world caring who wins. It's never on television, right? So challenging these chosen truths. What's bandy in your company, in your industry, can be a good starting point to try to figure out completely different and cool things. Because you need to do that, because we're dealing with these guys. And it's not Generation Zombie, it's Generation Z. And these will be the largest part of the population. And they'll be more connected than anybody else and more opinionated. Because when I grew up, I read about Iron Maiden twice per year in OK Rock magazine. Now they're online with Ola Ahlvarsson all the time, right? So there's also a shared opinion. There is a collective thinking that has never been there before. And they're a little bit selfie-made, but they're also quite disappointed at all the trouble that our generations have created that they need to start dealing with on a global scale. And I think companies that can capture that willingness to be seen and also the willingness to contribute and change and put things right will have a very interesting new target group. And I think that together with them, we will move into some sort of passion economy. When you ask somebody, what do you want to be? I said, when I was a kid, I want to be a doctor or a policeman. Now they describe what they're passionate about and try to find a business model or a freelance model or something else around that. When my dad started working, his mother said, go to Posten, they will give you pension when you're 65. And he was 18. Staying at the same job, the same question now, we want to do different things in different places and so forth. And if you're passionate, you can contribute and you can give for free. And you both want to be very individualistic, but you also want to be part of a collective. Does anybody know what this is? It's Burning Man, Burning Man. 80,000 people in a utopian experiment goes out into the desert in Nevada. I've been there 4 years. There's no money, you cannot trade anything, and there are 10 commandments. And the first one is radical kindness. Be as kind as you can to everybody. That means maybe go into somebody's camper and just clean it for them and cook some food and leave. You don't know these people. It means also radical self-expression. And art is at the centerpiece. Because when there's no money, people start thinking about other talents. This doll is being driven around to all the clubs and parties. There's about 1,000 parties per day where she dances, she wears different clothes. And there are 800 art pieces that nobody pays to create. And they're all burned afterwards. Because it's not about owning the art, it's about experiencing it. And you can also dress any way you like. Radical self-expression. It's not about having a suit and tie. This is me up in the corner here in clothing that people gave me that day before lunch, including the weird hat. And the first hippie movement, it was the disappointed, disillusioned kids of the war generation parents. Now, these are the leaders of Google. Elon Musk was there. I met Eric Schmidt last year and drove around in his Armageddon art car. We didn't speak about work. We didn't speak about anything outside the Burning Man context. And they come home and they think differently. So this is a very strong undercurrent that you should look at. Another thing that I picked up, average is the new awesome. You heard it first here. And why is that good? Well, for instance, in Miami now, it says absolutely no famous DJ. We have 20% margin on beer. Everybody's very welcome. We would be glad if you came here, instead of trying to have a line outside. Fashion models are looking more average because people don't look like 14-year-old elves that buy the clothes. You would be feeling weird in a green Lamborghini if you parked it out here, because it's not a balanced choice. And the good thing about average is it's not that you're stupid or bad, it's that you make other choices that are smarter. You spend time with your family, for instance. You do other things than just trying to be good at something to prove that to others. And if you pick up that trend, it's great, because we can all be average, right? That's easy. So you'll have a lot of followers. During the dot-com crash, it hit me super bad. 99% of everything I owned, a lot of things I believed in, didn't seem to be true. Internet was just something that was going to pass. And technology wasn't that important. And we had to fire over 100 people, including my mother. And I had one colleague, Edgar, you're probably here somewhere. He was like, coffee, anybody? And he was happy all through this. And I said, how the hell can you be that? Don't you grasp what's going on? And he said, man, it's only work. It doesn't mean it's not important, but it's only work. And I think that's an interesting thought, that I've carried me through a lot of crises and shit. Doesn't mean I don't care. It doesn't mean it cannot take over me. End of unicornification. We speak about, we have 2 unicorns in Gdansk, and then Poland is a great country. Isn't it so that we instead want to make a lot of good, sustainable companies that a lot of people can create, that a lot of people want to build? So if you're a large company wanting to support scale-ups and startups, don't try to go for a unicorn. Try to make a lot of great companies. I think that builds the economy. And we have many of you out there, many scale-ups. This is a home for scale-ups. We're also getting newer technology. Quantum supremacy. We're going to hear a lot about quantum computing. Is it a dream and a hallucination, or is it a vision and the way things are going? What Google did in October, last month, they announced that Sycamore, their computer, in 200 seconds made calculations. It will take the second best computer 10,000 years to do. Okay, what if we get this computational power? The guy who wrote the book, Jack Hidry, interesting guy. He ran for mayor in New York. He's done all kinds of things, both in charity and entrepreneurship. He's going to be here and tell us where quantum is going. Alphabet, as Google's mother company is called, you all know that, it's gone from a search engine to an 800 billion global AI powerhouse. Everything is about AI first. And AI is still in its infancy. I laugh when I'm driving home, because before I said, oh, I look at Waze, but I've lived there for 15 years, so I know better. And I'm always worse than Waze. Now I don't even look anymore. And after a while, I realized that it's gone from me being the master to I'm the, yes, Waze, I'll go your way. And then it can start planning traffic for me. Another thing that is cool is the innovation that comes out of China. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. We're going to have separate themes on that. If you look at AI investments in all of Germany, one of the leaders in Europe, it's 5 billion euros. AI investments in Shanghai, 15 billion euros. And there are 100 more cities like that. So innovation will come from China, that's my bet. $31 billion in one-day sales on Alibaba, $31 billion. And if you look at Huawei, that will be with us here during these days. They're selling more phones than Apple. They have higher innovation level in a lot of fields, including 5G, which will be one of the most powerful tools of the future. So look at China for innovation. We're also part of launching the app gallery here in the Nordics. You will get access to hundreds of millions of people that are not where you are if you go on the app gallery. That's the third app gallery next to Apple and Google. And it's going to be extremely powerful. There's a workshop on that tomorrow, or at least you can come talk to us. So in this world, what happens with leaderships? Well, I think that as a leader, you want to become a DJ. Calvin Harris, he makes $48 million a year, and he can't even sing Ja må leva. He just picks what's relevant, piece it together, just like DJ I Awake here, and he's the guy that becomes important. The same thing with leaders. If you can DJ things, or like we try to do here, if we can DJ the right people and experiences, we become relevant. And you can't do that alone. You need to open the doors, no silos, and invite people. And then you need the 4 C's. The first one is curiosity. Curiosity. It's also the name of this Mars landing tool. Could you imagine somebody's like, wouldn't it be cool to land something on Mars? And then just starting from there, powered by curiosity, turns it into reality. The second C is creativity. And creativity, as Einstein puts it, is intelligence having fun. It's all your experience, the subconscious things, your dreams, your learnings, your humor, and it comes together. And if you as a leader create space for that, for your teams and for yourself, you'll perform a hell of a lot better. Third one is courage. It's not an intelligence problem anymore. We know what to do to a large extent. Are we brave enough to do it? And courage is easy when nothing happens, right? But as Jeff Bezos says, courage can also take the body blows if you feel that you're right. If you're courage, you do something and you get hit by a lot of things. If you know you're right, you're doing it for the right thing, courage will be a shield that protects you. And the last one, most importantly, I think is compassion. We're going towards a business and industrial environment where compassion is a key leadership trait. And as in life, love and compassion are necessities. They're not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. And I think the same is actually true for companies. And that's why I believe that industrialization enters the era of romantics. And we've invited Tim Leberts to speak about that later. And he's written this excellent book. Finishing off, I don't know, do you know who this is? Who gave humans the fire? Prometheus. So Prometheus was a titan. He created the humans as a plaything for him and Zeus. But then they were cold and they were not very energetic and they didn't have dreams. So he stole some of the divine fire and he gave that to all humans. So according to Greek mythology, we all have fire inside of us that is divine. And that fire enables us to dream, to think bigger than ourselves, to want to be part of something and to create. Zeus got pissed off, chained him to a mountain, and vultures eat his liver every day and it regrows and they eat it again. But luckily, a human powered by that divine fire saved him later, but that's a different thing. But I think it's a beautiful way to look at your teams and at yourself. You have that divine power somewhere inside you. How can you unleash it? And that's what we're going to try to do here at Sime.